Everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 1, Episode 3, and this episode was entitled Bougie and the Beast. So the group decides to have this meeting, and the meeting was being held at Melody and Martell's office. And so they arrive for the meeting, and then Tish, I think, comes in first. But Marsau couldn't come, and Tish then came with the kids. And so they got like 3 or 4 kids. And so Melody is shading her, and saying basically she should have found a babysitter for them kids. Why you bring them kids to this business meeting? Why you bring them kids into my place of, my business, where we are actually conducting business, but you got these kids with you. But Tisha was like, girl, Marsau couldn't come. I'm here. Be happy that I'm here. We're going to make this work. We're going to make it do what we do. And she heads into the conference room. So then Maurice and Kimmy come in. So they're on their way there, and they're discussing Melody being a no-show at this bridal. Child, she was really upset about that bridal party. So when they arrive, she asks Melody right off the bat, why you didn't come to my bridal shower? So Melody says that when she was sent the RSVP, she learned that when she went to RSVP for the event, she learned that she had been uninvited. And so she tries to put it on Tisha, but Tisha is not having it. She was like, girl, it was a lot of people at that bridal shower that didn't even bother to RSVP. And when you contacted me and said that you weren't on the list or you couldn't RSVP, I told you come on to the party anyway. So Kimmy says that Melody is being passive aggressive. Like if she didn't want to come to the party, she should have been woman enough to say she didn't want to come, or at least call and say that she wasn't come. So as the women bicker back and forth, Martell walks in and chastises them for being loud and carrying on in front of the kids. And so Tisha and Melody begin to argue again, and then Tisha wants to leave, like she's not doing this. Like this is what happened the last time. And I'm thinking like, men, y'all can't control your women, because Martell and Maurice was sitting there looking like, what the hell going on here? So Tisha finally suggests that they pray. Okay, but they can't even agree on how to pray over the situation and get the meeting started. So then Melanie says that she would be the bigger person and move above the fray so that they can move forward with this meeting. So I'm like, Lord have mercy. So then Martell and Melody want to control everything, including the prices. They want to build the houses without discussing costs and expect the others to go along with it without no say-so. And so Maurice was basically saying, no, we need to go out and we need to bid on the jobs. And this is what I was saying in the other recap about how they're trying to promote this show is like they're all into real estate, but the truth is they are not all into real estate. Some of them dabbling into real estate, but Melody and Martell, they're the ones that actually have the contractors and development licenses. And then I thought it was crazy because Marsau is a general contractor. So if Melody and Martell have the experience about dealing with permits and architects and all of that, then they can handle that part and save money on the deal. And then if Marsau is a general contractor, then he should be responsible for getting the bids together and determining how much it's going to cost to build the house, because he has the relationship with the general contractors who will be, with the subcontractors who will be needed to come in and actually do the project, because that's what the general contractor does. He oversees everything and gets all the parts together, the supplies and everything. So a little confused as to how Melody and Martell want to control everything and present them with the price that it's going to cost them to build these houses. And so Child, I'm just real lost and confused as how this whole thing is supposed to work and how they're supposed to make money. But at the end of the meeting, Melody and Martell agree that they'll go and get two other bids on the job. But they were basically saying, I can't remember how much they wanted per square foot, because the way houses are priced is based on square footage, and so it's whatever the market can absorb at the time. So the figure they threw out was that it should only be $75 a square foot to build this house. That's what Maurice was saying. I guess Marsal had came up with that number, but then Melody and Martell were trying to charge way more than $75 a square foot, which it's kind of crazy because you build the house for the minimum square footage. So if the square footage is $70,000, $70 a square foot, and then it's $1,000 square foot house, then that's what, $70,000 to build the house, and then you add on to the house what the market can absorb for the sales price of the house. So say you built the house for $70,000, and then the market is saying, oh, people will pay $200,000 for the house. So then the group has made $130,000 profit that'll be divided by the three of them. But if these fools coming in saying, no, we're going to charge $100 per square foot, so now they're going to charge $100,000 to build this house, are they also expecting a profit on top of the $100,000, or is the profit going to be divided between the other two people? And once again, where is the money coming in? Is Martell and Melody the ones putting up all the money, or are they expecting the other two to equally put into the pot? So would it be $33,000 per couple to build the house? Like, they are confusing me on this whole house building situation. But anyway, at the end of the meeting, Tisha says moving forward, the personal stuff needs to be dealt with prior to the business meetings, so that when they get in the business meetings, they can talk business and not who didn't come to whose party and all of this other nonsense, which I agree with. So later, the men meet at a cigar bar to talk to Martell about his marriage issues. So they tell him that, divorce is not an option. And so Maurice says that, you have to admit you cheated and then walk it back and, show her that you're going to be a better man moving forward. And so they talk about anniversary cards and how in the beginning, the ladies used to give them anniversary cards. They were all mushy and we're going to be together forever. And now the anniversary cards are like, happy anniversary. We ain't going out to dinner. We ain't taking trips, doing nothing special. Just here go a card. I'm acknowledging that it's the anniversary. So they asked Martell what him and Melody are doing for their upcoming anniversary. And he says that they're not doing anything because Melody says that she doesn't want to do anything. And so they're like, bro, come on now. Regardless of what she says, you got to rebuild her trust and rebuild the love in the relationship. So you got to do something special for her for this anniversary, like take her away for the weekend or something. But you can't just let the day come and go and not acknowledge it, because that's just going to be like adding fuel to the fire. So then over with the ladies, they agreed to meet for a spa day at Melody's house. And so I talked about this in recap number 1, where I was saying that these houses just ain't impressing me with the story. The houses aren't going with the story, because we know that Tisha and Marsal, we learned that they live in a townhouse in some undeveloped area. And then Kimmy and Maurice, they look like they live in a house, but it's just like a regular house. It didn't. And then all of this could play into the whole up and coming Alabama, Huntsville. And so maybe they bought into these locations when the development started. And so that's why everything looks so unincorporated, just out in the middle of nowhere, because they got into these deals when the prices were really low. So I'm going to give them a pass on that. But I can't give Melody a pass, because she's the one that's on the show acting all highfalutin, high and mighty, like her and her man got it going on. And then I'm trying to figure out, is this a house or is this a townhouse? And what really had me questioning it, which I mentioned in the other recap, is that when they pull up, when Kimmy and Tisha pull up, they pull up into, it really looked like they pulled into the drive of the country. You know how developments have like the, not country club, but they have the clubhouse that you can rent out when you live in the facility or whatever, and that's where like the sales office is and everything. So it looked like they pulled up in front of that. Otherwise, they would have been like in a circular drive in front of, and then again, they had 6 people in there for this spa day, working on them for the spa day. So maybe all these cars belonged to the women that were coming to do the spa day for them. Maybe that's why there were so many cars and trucks in the drive. I don't know. But the other thing that made me think that it was a townhouse was because when they went through the house out on the patio, so they had the massage tables on the patio, but the patio was like really closed in. They had walls on both sides, like for privacy, that you would have if you lived in a townhouse, you know, with other units. Like everybody would have like that privacy where you wouldn't be able to see. They did have a nice view, but that patio was only big enough to handle them 3 massage tables. And like the ladies who was working on them, you know, they was like moving, you know, kind of gently around these 3 tables out there. And then I thought it was also tacky that they were having this conversation and this argument that they got into in front of these people that were invited into the house to provide these services. And I'm thinking, Melody, you upset that the streets talking and people put your business out, but you put your business out because you sat there in front of all these women who were paid to be there, and y'all having this conversation. So don't you think those women gonna go back and say, child, I was at the Holt's house and her friends was cut into her, putting her down, and they called her bougie and all this stuff. Like, I'm sure they went back and talked about y'all. So anyway, they basically told Melody that she was extra, she be doing too much. And so Melody admits that at times she can be extra, but she didn't think that it was to the point where it should ruin their friendship. And so, this was the other thing. When they were on their way to Melody's house, Kimmy made the comment that she had never been out that way before. And so I'm like, okay, so how y'all friends if y'all ain't never been to the girl house before and didn't know where you were going? And so then, as though they were reading my mind, Tisha kind of cleaned it up and said that basically the men were all friends first, and then as they got married and met, you know, the loves of their lives, which still has been like 10 years, they were introduced to the women. So then the women tried to forge a friendship out of support for the husband. Once again, you done had 10 years to forge this friendship. But anyway, so the ladies settle in for their massages on the patio, and they hash out the issue about the bridal shower invite. So the conversation goes into, you know, how they became friends because of the husbands, you know, which I just said. And so a conversation comes up about a picture during a past vacation celebrating Tisha and Masa's 10th wedding anniversary. And so Tisha feels like that was the turning point of the friendship, and it had something to do with, they were going to take this picture with all the ladies that were there. They had on these bathing suits or whatever, but then Melody didn't want to be in the picture for some reason, so it was like a big argument. So Kimmy says that Melody elevated herself above the group and, you know, took on this bougie attitude like she was better than everybody else at that event. So after the bougie comment, things go left. So Melanie gets upset, and I'm thinking like, Melanie, we just met you. Everybody watching the show that came to the conclusion that you are bougie and think you better than everybody else, and we done don't know y'all for a couple of hours watching this show. And so Tisha says that although Melanie has always been bougie, that she used to be fun, but now she isn't fun. She just thinks she's better than everybody else, and like is very condescending and talks down to them and everything. So after they finish arguing, you know, Tisha is like, you know, so are we not coming back? Because it got like real quiet. It was like, okay, the women standing there like, do we continue the massages? Should we pack up and leave? What are we doing? And then Tisha pipes up and says, so are we going to talk this out? Argue it out? Are we going to be friends again? And, Kimmy's like, do we get to come back and hang out at your house? And I'm thinking like, Lord Jesus. The best part about the whole spa day was that all the people on the team were black. All the ladies doing the massages and manicures and whatever, they were all black. So then, what that girl, Melanie. So Melanie was like, no, I want y'all to leave. I need y'all to leave my house right now. But then Tish said, we ain't going nowhere. We're going to work this out. So they ended up making up in the end and hugging it out and saying that, they were going to work on their friendship. So later on, while at home preparing lunch for the kids, Melanie calls to invite Tisha to a business luncheon. And so she doesn't invite Kimmy because she says that Kimmy called her bougie. And I'm just like, no, Melanie, you just petty like that. And you like Tisha because Tisha is up your butt and thinks that you're the best thing since sliced bread. Whereas Kimmy is calling you on your bull crap and not impressed, with your clothes and your cars and all this other stuff. So, Tisha said yes without ever talking to Marsau. So we know this is going to be an issue. And so she decided that Marsau would watch the kids and that, everything going to be okay. So yeah, I'll go to this luncheon with you. I was like, okay. So the following day, Tisha getting ready to go to this luncheon. Marsau come in and say he getting ready to go play golf. So she was like, well, no, you can't go play golf right now because I need you to watch the kids. So Marsau says that his day off doesn't automatically means that it's her day for fun. So he is such a dictator. And so Tisha says that, she'll give him 12 hours notice the next time. He's like, no, I need 12 years notice because this is what we agreed on and you going back on the deal. So Tisha is literally begging this Negro to let her go to this luncheon. And so then Melanie arrives and Marsau, goes downstairs, lets Melanie in and lets her know that, what her and Martell do in their house is their business, but him and Tisha don't roll like that. And Melanie is like, I am not here to steal your wife. I'm here to rescue her from the 18th century. So one thing I like about this show and why I keep watching it and decided to do the recaps is because despite their differences, their camaraderie together is very fun and very nice, and how it really does give a positive image of black families and black relationships aside from, the whole cheating aspect, but it just shows, friendship at work, and I like that part of it. So when they get in the car, Melanie asks, Tisha, how she feels about being married, her marriage with Marsau, with him being so controlling. So Tisha lets her know that, she chose this life and that is why they're still together. But Tisha asks about her and Martell, but believes that Melanie is BSing her about how happy they are and not, admitting to the whole thing about the affair because she don't know that they done sent their men to go and ask her husband, and her husband done confessed to having the affair. So at the luncheon, Melanie says that she hopes that Tisha meets some inspiring women who will help her reclaim her dreams of being a businesswoman. And so Tisha bites the bullet, and so Melanie is basically sitting there talking about how, supportive Martell is and how lucky she is to have Martell. And then Tisha breaks down and says that Marsau does nothing to help her. So Melody tells her, when events are coming up, just get a babysitter and plan things without him, just let him know after you get everything together, what's going to take place. Like, don't let Marsau keep you from your destiny. And I'm thinking, Tisha, don't let Melanie walk you into divorce court. Like, I agree your man shouldn't be controlling you, but don't be letting outside forces come in and fill your head with all this stuff, and then you end up losing your husband. So at home, Marcel's in the bed when their son come in. So the little boy was hungry, and kids, want him to get up and cook. So Marcel thinks that it is unfair that Tisha left him home with these kids on his day off. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. So then he tell the little boy, he said, well, so what you want? You want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And the little boy like, well, Dad, I'm allergic to peanut butter. Like, how you not know your kid allergic to peanuts? Totally detached. So child, he fooling around with them kids, trying to cook some waffles. Little girl told him she wanted waffles. He cooked the waffles. She didn't want the waffles. So they done destroyed this kitchen. So Tisha returns home, to a messy house, and then decides to tell Marcel that she's going to pursue her hopes of getting a job. So he asked her, what's more important, a business or starving children? Like, you got to make up your mind what you want to do. So when he's out doing business, he said he isn't worrying about starving children because his partner is at home taking care of his kids. So he says that Tisha is being selfish by going back on their plan. And she says that she wants to contribute to the business and doesn't think that it's being selfish, and she wants to grow mentally, which I can agree with that. So Marcel says that he doesn't want to stunt her growth, that they sat down and agreed on this life together, but Tisha disagrees, and she said that she just said that she agreed to get along and to end the argument. And I'm thinking, well, that was real stupid of you, because I wasn't going to tell nobody that, okay, we're going to have all these doggone kids, and then when the youngest one turned 5, I'll return to work if that's not what I really want to do. Because first of all, I wouldn't have had all the kids if I wanted to pursue this business career. Like, I would have figured all this out before I got pregnant the first time, which leads me to think that maybe they got married because she got pregnant. Because I still think that that little boy is older than how he looks. So anyway, he says that the plan was that she would be a stay-at-home until the youngest was 5, and she's now 3. So she got 2 more years before she can get out into the world and become this businesswoman. So Tisha puts her foot down and says she is going to do what she want to do, when how she want to do it, and that he gonna just have to learn to deal with it. And then, like I told y'all before the show just ended, next thing we know, they be showing highlights for next week. So that was the end of episode 3, guys. Leave your comments, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.